Hey you guys, this is Dr. Lane from Isolator Fitness. We've been getting a ton of questions about food prep, and it seems that a lot of people are a little confused about how much to prepare for the week, what they should put in their containers, or how to make food tasty enough in order to actually stay on plan with their diet. So, this is nothing fancy, but I'm going to show you how to food prep in less than 2 hours. So let's get started. First, we're going to get started by preparing our proteins. Protein is going to be the centerpiece of your entire meal prep. First thing we're going to do, we picked our 2 proteins, which are going to be chicken and fish. We're going to get started with chicken and actually eggs. And the reason I added eggs in is because it's super easy and it's a really good high protein snack. One thing you may encounter when you bring hard-boiled eggs to different places is that people think they smell a little funny. Well, I have a really great hack for you. You're going to fill a muffin tin with little cupcake holders, or you can spray it, but this tends to work much better. And you're just gonna fill each space with an egg. What's nice about this is that these eggs do not smell funny when they come out of the oven. You can peel them with no problem, totally socially acceptable. Okay, so just like that, they're all set. We'll put that to the side now that that's ready. Next, we're gonna get started with our chicken. So here, I have about 3 pounds of chicken. What you might like to do, just to save time and to add a lot of variety in your life, because you don't want to get bored with the same chicken eating it over and over again, you can basically make little foil boats, and you're going to put 3 different foil boats inside of one tray. As you can see, just little foil boats like that. This way you can separate your chicken into 3 separate parts and 3 separate seasonings. All right. I'm gonna toss this in here. And now again, 3 pounds works well for me. This is gonna be enough for my week, but it might take a little bit of trial and error to figure out about how much you like. Here I just bought tenderloins to save time. Tenderloins are super easy. What you could do is you could get boneless, skinless breasts and just chop them up into smaller bite-sized pieces. Also tends to be a little less expensive if you do that yourself. You might find that you end up paying about the same because you cut off a lot of fat. Definitely go to a place that you can buy in bulk. It's worth getting a Sam's Club membership, Costco membership, BJ's. All those places are gonna let you buy in bulk protein for much less than you'd buy at the stores. So I highly recommend doing that if you're gonna make food prep a part of your life. So as you can see, we filled our tin boats with 3 different chickens. And now what we're gonna do is just haphazardly season them. What I tell people is don't get too confused. Pick 2 or 3 seasonings. So what I have onion powder, garlic powder. I have some random chicken seasoning I picked up from Sam's Club. And what I'm gonna do is just essentially haphazardly season them. The first boat, one of the things I really like to do is take a little bit of garlic powder, because obviously garlic makes everything taste better, right? Garlic powder, season that. And then you're gonna take some type of essentially figure-friendly dressing. I really like sesame ginger dressing, so that's what I'm gonna use here. But you can also use a low-fat Italian, whatever you might like. Make sure it fits your needs. If you need low sugar, make sure it's like that, gluten-free, whatever your deal is. Second boat, I'm just gonna sprinkle on some of this roasted garlic and herb seasoning. We'll see how that turns out. Now again, make sure it fits your lifestyle. Don't just pick something up that's really high in sodium if you need to watch your sodium intake. Mrs. Dash seasonings are really nice for that. And there's also sodium-free varieties in some of these guys, the Weber seasonings. And why not? Let's put some onion powder on it. See how that turns out. And last but not least, our last boat, absolutely classic. Let's just do a little bit of salt and pepper. Here's a nice sea salt grinder. Salt, pepper grinder, as much or as little as you like. Garlic powder. Again, garlic's awesome. Why not? And tiny bit of onion powder. Last but not least, a little bit of olive oil. You can essentially use any type of oil here that you like, but we're just gonna give it a little bit of a drizzle. We're not gonna go crazy. All in all, about a tablespoon there. Maybe a little less. We don't like to measure things. Okay, here we go. As you can see, we've got our sesame ginger boat, our roasted garlic and herb boat, and our classic salt, pepper, garlic, and olive oil boat. Now that all of this is done, you have two things that are gonna go in the oven. This needs to be cooked for 30 minutes. This needs to be cooked for 40 to 45 minutes. So what we're gonna do is set a timer for 30 minutes, and then we'll just add another 10 on top of that. And we have a couple things to do while they're baking, so we'll be right back to show you in a second. All right, so there's a couple things we have to do while our food is cooking. So the first thing we're gonna do is just prepare an ice bath for the Eggies. We're gonna dump some ice in, make it cold. Unless you have super cold water, you can hook up. And then basically what we're gonna do is when the eggs come out, we're gonna transfer them directly into that ice bath. That way, when you go to peel them, they just slip out really easily and there's no problem there. So that's a nice little hack. Makes things a lot easier. All right, secondly, while our things are in the oven, we have trays prepared for our fish. So here I have flounder, and what we're gonna do is just go ahead and layer the foil. You can also use nonstick spray. I have Pam out here. Make sure you use Pam rather than an off-brand to protect your pans. And we're just gonna go ahead and lay the fish out so that it doesn't overlap. And one more, perfect. All right, get rid of this. Okay, again, you have the option where you can do 2 separate seasonings if you like. Just for the sake of ease and because I think flounder tastes great already, I'm just gonna go ahead and salt and pepper this bad boy. It really doesn't need much, and you're gonna be combining this with other things as well. You're not gonna be eating this solo, so don't worry about it being super bland. That should be the least of your worries. All right, a little bit of pepper. Again, sometimes I don't even add pepper. Salt, just a little bit of sea salt really is enough. All right, give it a little bit of a flavor punch. All right. Here you have it, a little bit of salt and pepper, super easy, right? And now what we can do is put these back in the refrigerator and just wait for the rest of our stuff to get done. We'll see you for an ice bath in about 20 minutes. Okay, you guys, 30 minutes later and our eggs are cooked. So we just need to dish them out and put them into our cold water. We actually lost one along the way, it cracked open. Just make sure you don't cook these for too much longer than 30 minutes. Try not to leave them in there because A, they will crack, or B, they'll just end up really weird and rubbery. So we're gonna dish each one of these out. Make sure our water's still cold. And then we can say goodbye to this cupcake tray. Now, while this is happening, I've also set the timer for another 10 minutes because our chicken still needs to cook. Only 30 minutes for the eggs, but 40 to 45 for the chicken. All right, we're all done with this tray. We've got 10 more minutes, and I'll see you in 10 for some more chicken. Okay, you guys, the chicken is now done. 40 minutes later, it looks perfect. We put a little slice in it just to make sure there was no pink on the inside. It's cooked through all the way. The next thing we're gonna do, we've already prepared our fish, so that's good to go. But what you wanna do first is actually amp the temperature up to 425. That's why we're cooking the fish separately. So this is gonna go in. We've already put the temperature up to 425, so it's ready to go. And one more thing about the eggs, you guys, just to note, make sure that water is really, really cold so that it really it helps to remove that shell much easier. And secondly, I'll just show you guys a quick sample. The color you're gonna find is just a little funny. So if you see, this is just slightly green on the inside almost. Wah! You lost it. Just ever so slightly kind of green, little funny color, totally normal. Not a problem. It's just different than boiling them. When you bake them, they get a little funny color. But no problem here. We open them up and they don't smell funny at all, even though they look funny. Now, again, you have a totally socially acceptable hard-boiled egg for your lunch. Okay, so all of our protein is taken care of and done now. We have all 3 types of chicken cooked up and we have our flounder. So now let's take care of our carbs. I just put 2 sweet potatoes in the microwave for 10 minutes. I'm gonna put another 2 in. Start. Okay, so while those are cooking, I'll show you I also cooked up some quinoa brown rice in the microwave. Again, you could cook your rice stovetop. You could definitely bake your sweet potatoes. This is just easier. So we've got our sweet potatoes. I cooked up 2 in the microwave and we have 2 cooking now. I also have a quinoa brown rice blend and it's just microwavable, 90 seconds and it'll all be done. I'm gonna cook up 2 of these. Now again, you could very well cook your rice on the stove. You could definitely bake your sweet potatoes. Again, I'm just all about being simple. Really, really easy. This took 90 seconds. Sweet potatoes take 10 minutes and you could always be doing other things while that happens. You could cook those while the flounder was cooking. So now we have our protein, we have our carbs, we're taking care of the rest of the carbs. Let's go ahead and get our containers out. We're gonna sort through our vegetables and we're gonna finally figure out what we're gonna put in our containers, how we're gonna sort through this mess. So the way we wanna work this out, we wanna figure out about how many containers, how many meals we need to prepare for the entire week. Super simple way to think about this is about how many meals do you plan on eating on the go or out of containers. Ideally, I'm gonna make food for about 5 days and give or take 1 or 2 meals on the weekend because I tend to make more of my meals fresh at home on the weekends. And also, I'm gonna always make my breakfast here fresh at home. And I'm always gonna make my very last meal at home again. So I'm not gonna need that in a pre-prepared perfect container. So let's say 5 days, give or take 1 meal, and we're thinking about 3 meals each day. Let's sort through 16 containers. We obviously have our Isolator Fitness containers. We've got some fun colors. There's 3 different sizes that I have here. We can use the biggest size for salads if you want. I'm just gonna use the medium guys. You can fit 3 or 4 of these in one part of the ISO bag, and you can always fit 4 of these guys. So, sort through. Again, we're gonna have about 16 containers. And what I like to do is just put the lid underneath so I don't lose them, and every single one has a home. What I would like to do is freeze anything I'm not gonna eat in 3 days. That's a big question I get, is just how to keep the food, worried that if they cook too much, it's gonna go bad. Absolutely. Anything you're not going to eat in 3 days, definitely throw it in the freezer, and that's what I'm gonna use the little containers for. I always tell people to set an alarm or a little reminder in your phone for Wednesday night, so you can transfer everything out of the freezer and into your refrigerator so that it thaws and you can have it in the morning. So let's get started with our basics. Every single one of these containers is going to have a vegetable and a protein source. So let's go grab our veggies. I'm sticking with my simple theory of pick 2. So I've got 2 vegetables. I love pre-made salad mixes because they are so easy. They make your food look really nice. What I don't use is the little crunchies with all the hidden calories in them. I'll put those to the side. They're delicious though. I'm gonna go ahead and fill a few containers with fresh veggies. So my pick 2 this time is gonna be salad greens and tomatoes. Super easy. You can pick more veggies if you like. I tend to pick vegetables I don't have to cut just because, well, you don't have to cut them, and it's much easier. And I used this method all the way through 7 years of school, so pretty good at saving time. If you would like to add an extra step and cut your veggies up or add some onion, make it look pretty, you certainly can. This is just a super easy food prep, very, very, very simple, but it's still gonna be delicious. And somehow I managed not to make a crazy mess on this counter. So that's a win. All of these are not going to be frozen. These are gonna be fresh. Can throw in some tomatoes on each one. And you could have picked another vegetable. You don't have to do tomatoes and veggies all the way through. You could pick something else. Okay, so now each one of these has a veggie base. And now we're gonna take any one of our proteins and we're gonna plop it on top. I could take out one of our chicken trays. This is the olive oil, salt, pepper one of my favorites. Now normally what I would do is I would weigh this out. For me, I'm looking for about 4 ounces of protein in each container. What I would suggest you do, if you would not like to weigh them out, which I would suggest about 4 to 6 ounces for women, and anywhere from 6 to 10 ounces for men, depending on your needs, is just think about, so this is about 3 ounces. It's not quite a palm size. So normally, a 4-ounce serving is almost the size of your open palm. So for women, around 1 whole palm size. So let's put these up to my palm. You can put this, and see about 1 whole palm size. For men, you're gonna have about 2 palm sizes. And for vegetables, you're looking at 1-2 cups of vegetables, depending on what you want. Now I could have gotten a little bit more creative with that and mixed it up, put different types of chicken in different parts, but that's all up to you. Again, you can definitely use a food scale. I would be using a food scale in this case, but if you're just starting off with food prep, it can be a little overwhelming. Might be a step that you want to skip out on, especially to just save time. It'll just save you a few more minutes. All right, so now we've got a little bit of chicken in each one. What I could have done again is mix it up, have a little bit of fish in each one if I wanted to do that. But now we have our protein, we have our veggies, and now we need to add our carbs. So again, I mentioned I already have some sweet potatoes cooked up. Each and every container is either going to get a carbohydrate or a fat. And this is only one way to food prep. Again, you don't have to do this. Some people are gonna wanna put a fat in each container and maybe take a carb with them. They might want a fat and a carb. But for the sake of this video, and for the sake of just beginning out with meal prep, I'm gonna suggest you put 1 serving of fat or 1 serving of carbohydrates in each and every container. So what's a serving, right? So for women, you're gonna look at maybe about half one of these sweet potatoes. For men, I would put a whole in there. And we're looking at about a cup of carbs, about 4 ounces of carbohydrates, however you're gonna measure it out. But again, for simplicity's sake, keep it simple, stupid. Let's put out half of a large sweet potato in each one, right? And this is a pretty big guy. We might be able to get about 3 out of this. This is a little bit small. We kind of short sold that one. But you could chop this up, make it nice and pretty, just put it into separate pieces. All of the containers that do not have a carbohydrate are gonna get a fat. We're gonna come back to the rice because we want some rice in there too. For a fat, what I did is I separated an avocado into four different pieces. There's actually 5 here, but essentially that's 1/4 of my avocado. So women, about 1/4 of your avocado, about 9 grams of fat, which is on the labels if you're gonna use something else like olives or nuts or anything like that. Females generally use about half of a serving on there. For instance, if peanut butter says that a serving is 2 tablespoons, then you're gonna take a tablespoon for your serving. For men, a full serving. So let's go ahead and dish that guy out. And we've got some left over for the next. All right, let's trade out 2 of these sweet potatoes and put in some rice. I really, really like this rice. Now this is gonna tell me I have about 2 servings, and each one is about a cup serving. So I'm a lady, I'm gonna put in about 1/4 of this package. So that's gonna give me about 1/2 cup. And again, we can measure this out. This is just, again, a really, really easy way to meal prep this for beginners. And we're gonna recap everything we did here. These are now all of our fresh containers. We're not gonna freeze these. This is gonna help to last us a few days. So what we did is started with our vegetable base. Every container gets a vegetable. Keep it simple and pick 2. If you like, you can pick more. And then from there, we're gonna add our protein, about 1 fistful for women or about 2 fistfuls for men. Or if you're measuring it out, about 4 ounces for women and anywhere from 6 to 10 ounces for men. And then we're gonna add a carbohydrate. Generally, it should be about a 2,500, goodness. 25 carbohydrate serving, which is gonna equate to about 1/2 cup for women. It could be a 4-ounce serving, 4 to 5 ounce serving. And for men, about double that. Fat servings, about 1/4 an avocado or 1/2 an avocado. So we're looking at anywhere from 9 grams of fat for women to 18 grams of fat for men, a full-size serving. Next step is to move on to the things that we're gonna freeze. Anything we're not gonna eat in 3 days, we're gonna have frozen, just to keep our food fresh. And of course, you probably don't wanna put in veggies to the foods that you're gonna freeze, but there's a way around that. I always recommend keeping frozen vegetables in your house in case you run out of fresh veggies, or just in general in case you start running out of food. You can still add the carbohydrates if it's a rice source. Otherwise, I'd just keep the sweet potatoes on hand. So put all of these to the side. I love these, they're so colorful. Let's go ahead and lay them out. So every lid gives it a home. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Here we go. Again, we would either measure this out, or if I'm making fish, I put about 2 fillets in each one. That usually comes out to about the same amount, about the same serving as your 4-ounce chicken or your palm-sized chicken. So for guys, you're looking at more like 4 fillets, so you can run through a package of flounder or cod pretty quickly. Again, I definitely advocate for buying things in bulk. Getting something from Sam's Club or BJ's is gonna make your life so much easier. It's gonna save you a ton of money. That's a lot. If you're running through 8 ounces of fish every single time you eat one meal, you're gonna get like 4 meals out of this. I'm gonna run into a situation where I have only half a serving of fish there. So I'm gonna top it off with a serving of chicken, half a serving of chicken, I should say. So we got a little mesh going on there. So now we're gonna use the rest of the chicken. Take it out of our foil boats. This is the sesame ginger chicken. I'm really looking forward to that one. That's one of my favorites. Right. And one more container. And actually, we have enough for one more serving. So I will be putting that to the side and making one more container, which will give us 17 meals instead of 16, which is awesome. It's a little bit of trial and error sometimes, trying to figure out about how much food you're gonna make. If you end up with a little overflow, just freeze the rest of it. And if you end up with not enough, we'll get into that a little bit later. There's definitely some things you should always keep at your house, just in case. So again, we're not gonna freeze any of the fats or the carbs with it, unless you would like to put some veggies with it. So I'm actually gonna show you really quickly how I would do that. What I like to do, if I'm gonna freeze and I just wanna make my life a little bit easier, so I can just heat everything up when it comes out of the freezer, and it already has veggies in it. Just put them in frozen. No kidding, it's that easy. Put them in frozen. You're not necessarily steam bagging them anymore, but you will be able to just heat them up and have some veggies in there when they're ready to come out on Wednesday night. Don't forget Wednesday night, set your alarm. All right, so now they're ready to get boxed up, and they're super cute in all their multicolors. We've got fresh over here. That's gonna be enough to last us for a few days. And we can always unload the freezer at any point if we need more. We figure out that this wasn't quite enough. Again, a little bit of trial and error. We do have another step though. So, you're probably wondering what you're gonna eat for breakfast. I know you don't wanna wake up with asparagus and some type of whitefish. That doesn't sound fun at all. I'm gonna go ahead and bring over one option of different things that you could make for breakfast. It's really easy, 2 ingredient. I'm gonna switch everything over here and you'll see in a second. Okay, last step. I'm just gonna pick one breakfast recipe for the week to make my life really simple. Now, I wouldn't usually pre-package this, but I'm gonna show you how you could, again, just to make your life easier. I like to put this together instead the night before and just have it in the morning. So all you need is 2 ingredients. You need a protein powder that tastes good. I'm gonna use chocolate, and you need chia seeds. So in each, for a female, 1 serving of protein is gonna be 1 scoop. And again, that's very generalized. When I say female versus male, it's just such a generalized topic. Really to figure out what you need for your body. We do have some links below, so you can figure out what are your calorie needs and how should I separate that into protein, carbs, and fats. This is a great place to start for beginners, but if you want to get more specific to your needs, definitely go ahead and check those links out. Okay, so now we've got protein in each container. I'm gonna put 1 scoop of chia seeds, or 2. Gonna be about 4.5 grams of fat for each tablespoon of chia seeds. And get rid of that. Now we have 5 containers full. Every time you wake up and eat breakfast, all you can do is just add water to it, or coconut milk or almond milk unsweetened, whatever you like. I usually do a little bit of water and a little bit of coconut milk. And if you want to really kick the taste up, you can add a little bit of Hershey's Special Dark Cocoa Powder. Only 1/2 gram of fat per tablespoon, and it's really, really high in antioxidants and offers a really good flavor punch for it. So, box these all up, and now you also have breakfast for the week. You can just grab it and go. A lot of people will tell me they don't really feel like eating when they first wake up. So a good option is to be able to take something dry like that to work, and maybe a bit of peanut butter, some nuts or something like that on the go, and then you can just add it there, mix it up, and eat it when you get to work. Then not so much pressure to eat at home, but then you're still getting a good breakfast. So one more thing I want to go over. Often, it's some trial and error firstly. You may figure out that you didn't make as much as you needed, or you still get bored with your food prep throughout the week. I highly recommend that you make at least 1 or 2 meals at home. And it's important to keep some things on hand in case you run out of your food prep, or again, getting bored of your food, or just to have something different. So a few different things you should have on hand, some type of either oats or quinoa, something like that you can heat up quickly for breakfast. And I really like to have these rice packets. You can do white rice, brown rice, whatever kind of rice you like. Anything quick. These quinoa flakes are cool because you could put it in the microwave for 1 or 2 minutes, and you don't have to go through the whole process of cooking quinoa. Again, these are grad school hacks. I use these all the way through, and it's just as good as the real thing. It tastes just as good. When we get to protein, isopasta, I always keep isopasta in my house. It's so easy because it's 30 grams of protein. It's a protein source, not a carb source. So it's 30 grams of protein and only 7 carbohydrates, 7 net carbohydrates after the fiber's taken away. Other things, fats. So I always like to keep macadamia nuts or almonds or anything. I buy this in the bulk nut aisle because it tends to be cheaper than buying it in jars. So having nuts and Obviously peanut butter, because peanut butter is absolutely amazing. Any type of nut butter you can keep in your house, that's cool. You can take this with you to work and pair it with your little chia seed pudding mixes. And lastly, for snacks, we have our hard-boiled eggs. Also veggies. A lot of people like to cut up veggies like peppers and celery and stuff like that and take it to work with a little bit of ranch or some hummus or whatever it might be. I definitely advocate for veggies you don't have to cut. I really like that because, again, just more work. So take the guesswork out of it, and you can buy snap peas, carrots, anything of that nature that you can just throw in a baggie and go. Pair that with your dip, whatever you might like, and some hard-boiled eggs, and you have a great snack during the day. If you're not snacking during the day, you're not eating enough during the day, those are two really good, easy options so you don't completely blow your diet and eat everything when you get home because you're starving. Any type of canned protein, a fish or a chicken or anything like that is cool to keep on hand in case you run out of protein or in case you want something different. And being consistent with the pick two, I always pick 2 condiments to keep in my house. It's nice to make your food a little bit more plain, but then stock up on some condiments that won't really put your calories overload for the day. That way you can always change what you have. If you make your fish really plain, but then you have a few different dressings, you'll be able to change the flavor every single day. That way you'll never get bored. That, sweet potatoes, chia seeds, that goes along with the fats. Anything you can keep in your house that you can make quickly and always have in reserve in case you run out of food. What I'm gonna do is we actually have a little bit of food. I talked about that chicken. We've got some left over from our meal prep. I'm gonna make our camera crew a really awesome little salad with some of the stuff we have left over. Throw some avocado in that guy. Yes, this is gonna be great. All right, your prep for the week. This is super, super simple, but it can be overwhelming. So if you're not ready for this, try changing 1 or 2 meals. Prep for 1 meal for the whole week. If you're not used to eating lunch or you're not eating a healthy lunch, prep that. If you're not used to eating a healthy breakfast, prep that. If you're just not eating enough during the day, start with some hard-boiled eggs and some veggies and some stuff you can bring to work and start making a fresh dinner at home at night so you don't eat everything all at once. So if you guys have any questions, I really want you to get in touch with us. Email is below. You can leave us a comment and let us know what you think. Thanks for joining us.